Hello dear students, I hope you all are fine and safe at home. Today we are going to learn about verbs. This is for class 6, lesson 9 of your English language, verbs. First of all, we learn about what is a verb. Well, a word that is used to describe an action is called a verb. And these verbs are also called doing words. See the example that is given in your book. Number 1, Harry Potter is an orphan. And number 2, he has a magical clock. Let's see another example, that is number D, they played soccer. So in these 3 sentences, we have seen the verb is, the first one is, second has, and the last one is played. Now, if we omit these words from the sentence, will this sentence make any sense, or will the sentence be complete? No. Therefore, we see that the words which are placed there like is, has and played, they describe the action or the state of being of the subject or what the subject possesses. Now, let us look at the first exercise that is given in your book, exercise A. Read the following sentences and underline the verbs. Number 1, let's look at number 1. Neha ran to the counter and bought the tickets. So what are the verbs that we find in this sentence? The verbs are ran and bought. So already I have underlined. So you can also copy, you can see and you can do this exercise in your book. Next we come to the object of a verb. Now when it comes to object of a verb, we have to see after the verb, the noun that follows. We need to ask question to that sentence as to what or whom. And if we get the answer to the question what or whom, that is the object of the verb. How? I'll just explain to you, taking the example of this first sentence, that is number A. Neha kept the money carefully. So in this sentence, we see that the subject is Neha, verb is kept, and then what will be the object here? So we need to look at the criteria. What was the criteria? We have to ask the question what or whom after the verb. So in this sentence, we'll ask the question what Neha kept or what did Neha keep. So what do we get the answer? Neha kept the money. So therefore, the money will be the object in this sentence. So this is how we find out the object of a sentence. Similarly, number B, the little boy is flying a kite. So again, the subject is the little boy, verb is flying, and what is the object? So we need to ask the question, what is the little boy flying? What answer do we get? A kite. So the object is a kite. Now we come to kinds of verbs. So there are 3 kinds of verbs: transitive, intransitive, incomplete. Now we learn about each of these verbs in details. First, let us see transitive verbs. What is a transitive verb? A transitive verb is action that have a direct object to receive that action. For example, let me say the example, the man loves his children. So here in this sentence, the man loves his children. What is the subject? The man. The verb is love. And then what is the object? The children. What question do we need to ask? Whom the man love. The answer we get, the man loves his children. Therefore, we see that the verb love, it passes on to an object. So therefore, this verb will be transitive verb. Now, from your book, let us see the example that is given. Number A, Seema bought candies. So again, we'll ask the question. For a transitive verb, we'll ask the question, what Seema bought or what did Seema buy? Do we get an answer? Yes, we get the answer. Seema bought candies. Therefore, we see that the verb, it passes on to an object. Therefore, candies will be the object of this sentence and bought will be a transitive verb. Now we come to the next exercise. Read the following sentences and underline the verb and circle the object in each sentence. So here I have done this one. Number 1, Girish painted the cottage. So here my subject is Girish, verb is painted, and then what is the object? The cottage. Now one more thing I want to tell you is there are two objects, direct object and indirect object. In the previous chapters also we have done about this. Now direct object, in simple words we can say direct object, it refers to the thing, and indirect object, it refers to the person. Okay, now from this exercise only, I'll just take an example from this exercise. You see number 9. The jeweler gave the necklace to her. So in this sentence we have two objects, the necklace and her. So the direct object will be the thing, that is the necklace, and the indirect object will be the person to whom the necklace is given. The answer is her. So the her is indirect object. The next is intransitive verbs. Already we learnt about transitive. Now intransitive. Now in transitive, what do we see? The verb, it passes on to an object to receive its action. Whereas in an intransitive verbs, it has no object. Okay. An intransitive verb is action that doesn't have a direct object to receive that action. Okay. So here in intransitive verb, when you find a sentence, you need to ask the question what or whom for an object. Same here, if we do not get an answer to what or whom, that means it is an intransitive verb. Now, for example, if I say, snow fell yesterday. Snow subject, fell verb, and then we have one more word after fell, that is yesterday. But can we say yesterday is the object in this sentence? No. Why? Because we need to ask the question, what snow fell? Whom snow fell? We don't get an answer to what or whom, whereas we get an answer when snow fell. But that is not the criteria. Therefore, we see that it is not a transitive verb. Fell is not a transitive verb because we are not getting the answer after fell to what or whom. Therefore, fell will be intransitive verb. Now, from the book, if I say, Neha is sleeping. Now, here we see that the sentence ends with the verb is sleeping. And we have nothing there after sleeping or after the verb to make complete sense, because the sentence Neha is sleeping is complete in itself. It's a complete sentence. We see that there is no object here after the verb. Therefore, we say is sleeping is an intransitive verb because it has no object in the sentence. I hope you all understand between transitive and intransitive verbs. Another exercise, which I'll send pictures for you to copy it in your book. Now the next one, the third kind of verb is incomplete verbs, and also we say it verbs of incomplete predication. Now, what are these verbs? I'll explain to you with an example, incomplete verbs. Number A, you see, the boy is honest. Now, the boy is. If I stop the sentence with is, the boy is, will the sentence be complete? No, the sentence will not be complete because we have to add something, some word or group of words after the verb is to make the sentence meaningful, to make the sentence complete. So these words or verbs like is, was, these are verbs of incomplete predication. Why? Because they need words after the verb to make a meaningful sentence. Now, let us look at number C. The play was interesting. If I say the play was and end the sentence, will the sentence be correct? No, because we need to add some words or word after the verb was. So here we can see the word interesting has been added after the verb was. The play was interesting. Now the sentence is complete. And the word that has been added, that word becomes the complement of the verb was. So whenever you see verbs of incomplete predication, which needs words to make the sentence meaningful, those words that have been added or that has been added, they become the complement of the verb. Now here there is an exercise, number D. Read the following sentences and circle the transitive verbs and underline the complement of the verb if there are verbs of incomplete predication in these sentences. Another exercise, number E. Underline the verbs in the sentence given below and then tick its kind. Okay. Now coming to the last part of this lesson number 9, that is main and auxiliary verbs. Now in English language, there are some verbs called helping verbs which help the main verbs of a sentence to clarify them better. So these helping verbs, they are also known as auxiliary verbs. They help the main verb or the principal verb in the sentence. One example, if I say they watching a football match. Now, if I say only they watching, do I come to know about the time of the action, when they were watching or they are watching? We do not get the time of the action. So, this sentence is not complete. But then if I add a helping verb, are, before the main verb watching, they are watching a football match, then the sentence is complete because we know the exact time when they were watching the football match. So they are watching football match, are watching. That is in the present time they are watching the match. So this is how the helping verb helps the main verb to complete the sentence. And similarly in some of the sentences without the main verb, if you use only helping verb, it will not be complete. So, in some sentences, they need the help of each other. Now, main or principal verbs are words like run, dance, eat, work, and jump. We add an ending. Example, dance. We can use D plus D to make it danced. Then work, ing, working. Or we change them to get other forms. So these are the different ways how helping verbs are formed. Main verbs are formed. And then same is with the auxiliary or helping verbs. We see they are the forms of verbs like be and have. So the different forms of be, we have is, am, are, was, and were. And have, the helping verb have can be used as had, has, will have, or shall have. Do as does, did, or can as could. So these are the way the main verb and the helping verbs can be used in according to the sentences in different ways. So these are the exercises. Exercise number F. G and H. So dear students, I hope you have understood about verbs and the different kind of verbs, that is transitive, intransitive, and verbs of incomplete predication or incomplete verbs, and about the helping verbs, that is auxiliary verb, and the main verbs, that is the principal verbs. The answers I will be sharing with you very soon in your app, and I want all of you to copy this to copy the exercises in your book. So thank you to all of you.